Hey guys, Lord Sora here. After having a busy first week of Season 9 testing dot wave, blasting and pushing pits, I have achieved rank 1 status multiple times and I feel pretty confident in the build, especially the pit pushing version. So I wanted to go over it. I will focus specifically on the mechanics you can master to improve your gameplay, skill rotations and key elements if your goal is to effectively farm and push pits. Overall build guide and differences. Even though this build looks similar to Overpower Blood Wave, which I will refer as Orange Wave on the rest of the video, just to create a difference between the two, there are key differences. Primarily, this build scales entirely with Desecrated Ground, Shadow Corruption damage, so direct hits don't matter at all. You mainly spec into shadow damage over time since all your damage comes from ultimate shadow aspect, creating Desecrated Ground beneath Blood Wave. I have another video detailing how to scale its damage linked below along with the planner and a written guide. Make sure to check those out. It goes into a bit more details in terms of like scaling shadow, the desecrated ground, and the things that works for desecrated ground and things that doesn't. In this video, we're gonna focus on more gameplay stuff. Gameplay wise, a common complaint about overpowered build was needing to pick up orbs to reset Ratma's Vigor cooldown for overpowering every cast. However, in this build, Ratma's Vigor is not used, so you don't care about blood orbs at all, especially during pit pushing. You don't actively chase them or collect them. The only benefit from collecting orbs is activating Blood Begets Blood legendary node, which you do in most Necro builds anyways, so nothing new here. If you previously disliked Orange Wave, Blood Wave because of the orb mechanic, this dot version might be a good alternative since orbs are irrelevant for your DPS in the pits. Outside of pits, however, you will still need Fastblood and Blood Orbs for the cooldown reset, making gameplay more similar in that context. However, all you need to do is like pick 2 Blood Orbs you can put on your amulet and you are good to go for speed farming. You don't really need to chase that many orbs at all. And you can actually maybe incorporate with gore coils and bloodlands to automate that process for you, which I will have that build covered this season as well, just for speed farming. Another gameplay difference is running tendrils. Corpse tendrils is quite a satisfying pull ability that makes the gameplay feel more distinct. With no need for orb collection in the pits, you can adapt a more stationary play style, stay in the one area, gather mobs around you while using corpse tendrils as well. So that's a bit of a different aspect as well when it comes to comparing these two play styles. Cooldown reset without Fastblood, since orbs are not needed. Common question arises: how do we reset Blood Wave's cooldown without Fastblood aspect and orb collection? The answer is Decrypify. It plays a crucial role here by reducing cooldowns via lucky hits. And one mechanic that we rely on this is mercenaries. Mercenaries can proc lucky hits. I am using Subo and Altkin. Subo's on right side is very effective in terms of proccing lucky hits, and it also gives us a huge multiplier. On Altkin, we are using Flame Surge, which procs often, has an only 11-second cooldown and stays active for 4 seconds, and Flame Surge procs cooldown drops significantly. In the background footage, I demonstrate how Flame Surge activated through Altkin and Corpse Explosion spam, and you can see when it procs, it drastically reduces the cooldown even on single targets, but against especially multiple targets, cooldown reduction happens almost instantaneously, effectively eliminating the need for Fastblood, especially during pit clears. Let's talk about our skill rotations. Before diving into more details, let's first note that Corpse Explosion is our main spammable skill. Flame Surge is assigned to Corpse Explosion, which activates multiple critical aspects of our build as well. Corpse Explosion triggers Reinforcement for cooldown resets. It consumes corpses, activating Flesh Eater for a damage buff. It keeps activating Igni Rune, proccing Tool, rune word, Igni Tool, for vulnerability, Freeze, which boosting Creeping Dead, and 15% damage multiplier. It also activates our seasonal power, Disintegrate, which is what we assign Disintegrate to, which Corpse Explosion becomes this main thing that efficiently activates multiple build mechanics at the same time. Skill rotation is straightforward. Cast Blood Wave, generate a corpse via Hued Flesh, lucky hit. Blood Wave has a really high lucky hit chance. Activate Corpse Centrals if you see a corpse to pull everything together more effectively. And then start spamming Corpse Explosion until Blood Wave is ready again. Focus on larger pools and grouping enemies effectively, stacking desecrated ground to ramp up the damage. You want to play a little bit more stationary, stay in the same proximity. Pull mobs towards you so that you can keep stacking that desecrated ground wherever you are. Seasonal powers. Our main seasonal power is Disintegrate, creating a damaging beam between you and your target location. It remains active continuously. I think it has only 0.3 second gap when it comes to your Unstoppable. One of the powers we assign to Disintegrate is the Unstoppable. We are almost perma unstoppable. Another one is the removing DR power. It effectively removes DR mobs from large packs. Crucial for pit pushing. You must quickly eliminate DR mobs, and Disintegrate significantly helps with this. So it's very, very important. It also executes on elites at 40%, providing a huge DPS boost, in general clear boost for the pit pushing. You also activate Disintegrate again with spam and Corpse Explosion, and then you need to make sure that the beam damages your targets. In the background there's a footage we've been playing, so you have to make sure that when the beam spawned from a target location, it needs to damage the DR mob, for example, to remove that DR aura. If it's not damaging the DR mob, it won't do anything for you. So you have to make sure that sometimes you go around and make sure the beam damages these targets. Same way for the executing. If you see low health targets, you want to go around them and make sure the beam damages them and you execute them effectively. If you see me running around, that's not because I'm trying to collect orbs. Again, I don't care about the orbs at all in this play style. I'm just kind of going around to make sure that the beam hits all targets, puts a chill status on them, eliminates the DR mobs, and also executes the low health targets. Let's talk about crucial pit facts to know so that you can actually make sure that you pay attention to these little mechanics to improve your pit pushing. Beyond a certain point, as you max out your gear in your build, the biggest difference maker is RNG. Unfortunately, pits are very, very luck oriented in its current state, and I know that's not something we like to hear. Obviously, execution is playing a role, but there's not much skill expression ceiling there. As long as you know these little details and you get used to them, the strategy and execution is a much smaller portion compared to RNG. The layout you get, the monster types, and the boss you get defines 90% of your outcome when it comes to getting those really high pit tier clears. So that's why you see a lot of people talking about fishing. That's what you do. You start fishing for the layout. You start fishing for the mob type, and you hope for the best boss possible. And overall, the more you play, the more you increase your chances, the more lucky you get, the better times you can get, as long as you know these little mechanics I'm about to cover. So let's talk about the layouts first. Number one thing in the layout is you want open floors. As this is playing a dot wave, there's a ramp up time with your damage. So as you fight longer, your dot's ticking harder and harder. So you really want to be pulling as many large groups of enemies as possible. The desert map you will see a lot. It's called Farai Cliffs, is one of the best ones for this build and many other builds. And it's just a full open area. You can put lots of monsters together. It has lots of density. You can in fact complete your whole progression without going to the second floor. So that's another important aspect of it. It has huge density, open floor, and if you execute this actually effectively, you can clear out. And there's a discrepancy in the Farai Cliffs, the desert map itself. Some maps won't have enough density, so don't ask the question or don't get confused why I did it perfectly and I'm still not able to get a full progression. Some maps have less density, so there's energy. Their tiles always changes, so it's not always the same. So sometimes, even though you execute it perfectly, you have to go to the second floor. Again, RNG within RNG within RNG. So it's once you know how to do these things, at the end of the day, luck will be your best friend. Second best option for pit pushing is buried holes. It has open corridors, so it helps a lot on that one as well. And the third best one is blood-soaked crack. I'm putting the pictures in the background and what do they look like, so you may not know the names, but the pictures are on the screen, so you can get familiar with the layout and what they look like. And then when you see these maps, you know that's your time to execute it well. Let's talk about mob types, as mob types also play a big factor. Some mob types really bad for density, and they just have tons of CC, which we don't care much this season because we are perma unstoppable, but some other season it's actually play a big role. And some other mob types, they are quite slow, they are really hard to follow you, so it is really hard to pull them effectively. They lose aggro and you start losing density. So there are these little mechanics there when it comes to mob types. The best mob type combo is werewolves and bandits, and these are quite fast and they do not come with bad affixes, and they come with like quite large density, and the tagging them and aggroing them and pulling them with you as a group together happens much efficiently because again they move quite fast. The worst combo from my experience is anything with vampires and knights and sometimes snakes, but sometimes snakes can be okay because they come with bigger density. But these guys do often get scattered a lot. Like snakes will just backpedal a little bit when they become unstoppable. They try to get out of your area. Vampires teleport all the time, and they comes with really bad inherited affixes. So these are just some of the worst mob types you want to avoid. Even if you get a desert map and you ended up getting knights, it is very likely that it is not going to be that great of a run because the knights just don't have the density and they come with bad affixes. Finally, the bosses. At the end, you fight a boss, so this information is really build dependent. Some bosses are horrible for some builds. Some bosses are really good for some builds. So for example, ads. A lot of ads. I think maybe Sea Hag is, for example, really not good for minions. Could be really good for Orange Blood Wave. So there's really a big discrepancy here with bosses. But so I'm going to be more specifically talking here about the Dot Wave. Some bosses, again, have ads, and some have a really, really high health points. So it really varies. If you played Orange Blood Wave in the past seasons, the Sea Hag was the best boss for us. However, actually Sea Hag this season because it has lots of HP, it is not the best boss for Dot Wave. The reason in the past it was the best boss is because it actually spawned a lot of ads, and those ads also, those minions the boss spawned had a lot of HP. So they could stay throughout the fight more, and then you could get a lot of lucky hits, and which Blood Wave really relies on that to activate cags, reduce cooldown. You could get really good DPS. But with the Dot build, Sea Hag is not the great, as it does have a high HP, and we are ramping our damage up more slowly with this one. So for the Dot Wave, Spirit Caller is the best boss you want to go after. And the second best boss, as based on my experience, is the Hive Master, aka I call it a cockroach. The bosses that I immediately reset, that I don't even want to attempt beyond certain degree, are Den Mothers, Mother's Judgment, Blood Bishop, Slither, and Chief Marauder. These guys are super tanky. They constantly move out of your dot pools, constantly move around the room, and they spawn no ads, so absolutely horrible. Den Mother does actually spawn ads, so out of these group, Den Mother is the best one. However, Den Mother disappears a lot and teleports a lot all over the place. In terms of bosses, in this season, in this current season, we actually have this jewel that spawns ads on us, so that actually helps a lot, reduces the discrepancy a little bit more. But even then, it's still, these bosses are just horrible to attempt. When it comes to pit pushing, Maxwell has a great written guide by Ava. So I will link that down below. Make sure to check it out. It's a great read. You want to get as much knowledge as possible if you really want to push pits. Alrighty, in this section, I wanted to go over my gear and how I approach some of the upgrades I plan to make, and hopefully this will also be insightful for you as you are seeing my gear as transparently as possible and the next upgrades I plan on doing, currently what kind of damage I'm missing, and where I approach to overall improve my gear. Starting from Air of Perdition, I have a GA Lucky Hit chance, which is the affix I want. It is sort of important, it is not sort of important, that's why I didn't prioritize the masterwork yet. And ideally you will want to triple crit the Lucky Hit chance so that you will get more cooldown reduction, especially during the boss fight. But currently it ended up being this way. I let it happen for now, as it's sort of a minor upgrade compared to other things that I plan to masterwork. But this item is really good. A lot of questions, what I do if I don't have Air of Perdition. You can have a legendary helmet and you can run Hardened Bones aspect on it. And you can run cooldown reduction, max life, and intelligence. So there's some good options in terms of affixes there as well. Or you can run Embalmer aspect for more orb generation, so they will spawn closer to you as you consume corpses with Corpse Explosion. On the chest, we have Shroud of False Dead. You definitely want GA all stats, and you want to triple crit that. And the second best stat will be maximum life. But overall, this would be a really good item that you would want eventually. And again, if you don't have it, it's totally fine. Obviously, you'll be losing significant multipliers from this because this item gives +1 to all passives, which end up being a lot of damage, and other utility bonuses in your skill tree. You can run legendary armor, and you can run again Hardened Bones or Embalmer aspect. Priority would be Embalmer for both helmet and legendary chest as an aspect to imprint, but you eventually want to get these mythics. On the glows, we are running going for intelligence, max life damage over time. GA damage over time would also be a damage increase, but I don't have it. I was able to find just 2 GA, so some damage missing there. And you would want to triple crit the intelligence, as it is the best option. We are imprinting crowd control duration because this improves our stagger ratio towards the boss, so it's more valuable than I think most of the other tempering options. And then it would increase our stagger, which we do huge amount of damage when the boss is staggered, so we want to increase that amount as much as possible. Unfortunately, I have corrupting damage tempered here. I brick this item, but ideally you want desecrated ground damage temper, but the difference is so small, so I'm just rolling with it for now. On the pants, the two main stats you care is Blood Wave cooldown reduction and chance for Blood Wave to deal double damage. This is a bit confusing maybe. Our Blood Wave is not doing damage, the Desecrated Ground does. However, this double chance also works with the Desecrated Ground. So that's something to note, and that's why you want to triple crit that chance for Blood Wave to deal double damage. On boots, we are running Cursed Aura and Intelligence, Maximum Life, and Armor. We are running Corpse Central size, so it has a bit larger size for the pull, movement speed, and armor to be able to reach those caps. Max away charges is my choice oftentimes, and you do want to triple crit the intelligence, so missing some third master working there as well. In terms of aspect, we are in a Cursed Aura, so it opens up a skill bar, less action economy, and it's overall really great utility, and there's not really a better alternative when it comes to boots. On glows, I forgot to mention we have Tidal. Tidal aspect doesn't do anything for the damage. It just helps us cast more blood waves in a shorter amount of time without doing much. Ideally, it does increases your damage because the desecrated ground itself stacks. But the multiplier like 79% or 100% or 40%, that does not matter for the dot wave. On the weapon, It's one of the most important pieces here. Unfortunately, I've been trying to get this hit to triple crit to finality. That's going to be a huge damage boost for me that I am still missing, even though I have completed 109. So once I get this to 12 triple crit finality, I think I should be able to easily do 110. I still can't do it right now. It just requires fishing, but I really don't want to fish for specific bosses. I just want to do it. So focusing on gear upgrades in the meantime. The aspect is, this is where you put your ultimate shadow aspect, because this is where you get the biggest damage for your buck. 71k tooltip. That's where the most of the damages come in. This is where the main damage coming from desecrated ground ultimate shadow aspect. You want an axe, you want intelligence, max life. You can actually I suggest actually having GA damage over time instead of maximum life, but that's something you can decide. If you want to feel a little bit tankier, you can go for max life. You will lose about 3 to 4% damage if you don't have GA damage over time, which is actually a significant amount. So I might have to swap this one out for more damage eventually if I want to keep pushing. I am running Ignite Tool as runes. This is really good in my opinion. I think it's one of the best options. I think it's the best option. It casts Mystical Frost Nova, freezes, which activates our Creeping Death, and it also warns enemies, so we don't have to run Lucky Chance to warn on any of our rings. And we have a pretty much like almost 100% uptime during the clear, 100% uptime during the boss. But also this Mystical Nova Frost Nova is also a 15% damage multiplier. So we get a multiplier, vulnerable, and a freeze. I think it's really a no-brainer to have here. So that has been my choice as a rune. Other rune combination is classic Ahu Cax, just to double our damage when the mobs are unhealthy. I have recently maxed out my aspects. They were not maxed out. This is the GG amulet you need. In GA, intelligence is the most important. Then GA gloom, and then coalesced blood. You do want a triple crit gloom. I didn't do that yet. The difference is actually very, very small, less than 1% if you triple crit the gloom versus 2 gloom and 1 coalesced blood. So if you can't get it, don't sweat it. I am not sweating it because the damage, again, just a small margin. So I know it is a popular thing to triple crit the gloom, but in reality you can just get away and be fine with 2x on gloom and 1x on coalesced blood. In terms of aspect here, I have Creeping Death. However, I am constantly swapping this with the Damned. I put the Damned on the amulet, get the 83 multi here, and bring this Creeping Death on the ring. Is something I am constantly testing between runs. The problem is I get a really good clear speed when I put Creeping Death on amulet. It's definitely visible and noticeable. However, the boss fights are terribly long, and you have to fish for exact boss spirit collar. And because Creeping Death uptime is actually significantly low during the boss fight, so our second best slot for an aspect on amulet not being that active during the boss fight is kind of bad, but it also makes up for it because the clear speed is just good. So something I'm messing around and testing. I will see what I land up on. Right now I'm testing Creeping Death. We will see as we explore it together. I will keep you guys posted. For other ring, we have into max life damage over time. This is the GG ring. You can have GA damage over time, and if you have triple GA gear that I didn't get to have because the things are getting expensive right now, and I was able to get these in the first week, just the cheap market in the first week. If you get GA damage over time, you can actually get a bit more damage, because about like 1.5%, 1.5% GA over non-GA. That kind of adds up over time, and then that kind of adds up when you combine them together. It ends up being a good damage difference. But right now I don't have it, so we're rolling with this. You do want to imprint Desecrated Ground ultimate cooldown reduction, same on the amulet as well, by the way. And then you have damage over time. You want to triple crit the intelligence as your maximum gear options. We are running Behemoth's Brawler. It gives additional ranks. Additional ranks doesn't do anything for our damage, but having a 30% multi that is up all the time is very good. And then additional ranks reduces the cooldown of Blood Wave further. On the other ring, it's about the same. We have Damned Aspect here. Like I said, I swap constantly between this one and the Creeping Death. Sometimes I put the Creeping Death on Amulet or the Damned, or I put the Creeping Death here or the Damned Aspect for Shadow Multi. So something I've been testing. And to talk on the gems, we have the Unhindered gem with the additional int and max life. We have 20% more elemental damage one, and then we have the damage over time stack. So this is why during the boss fights, as the longer it goes, the more damage we do. In terms of gear, I am still missing about 20 to 30% damage combining gear and Paragon. My Paragon glyphs right now, I am running Abyssal, Desecration, Scourge, Gravekeeper, still 82, level 82, Eliminator, level 80. So I'm still low on glyphs, 2-level glyphs. I need to level these up, and then I am still missing from a low Paragon level about 300 to 400 intelligence. Missing this masterwork is crucial. This is a rough one. So I'm missing about 20 to 30% more damage. Currently I'm capable of doing 110, and with another 30% I expect this build to reach about 111, potentially 112. I don't know if I'm gonna push that much. I think a lot of the concepts that I wanted to test and validate has been proven, and the rest is just about playing more and grinding honestly to get these materials. And I am in a rough spot in terms of material here, only 776 up the side and 700 Forgotten Souls. So gotta get back into that jail and keep farming and get fix this, especially this masterwork. I need to triple crit. Just having to triple crit here will give me another 10% more damage. So that's going to be, roughly speaking, that's going to be really, really important. But then, yeah, I'll keep you guys posted. Hopefully this transparent gear review that what I have is helpful. And if you comment below and have specific questions, I will be happy to answer them as well. I hope overall this guide was helpful. I'm not sure how long I am going to keep pushing. Might move on to some other builds, especially some speed farm build ideas I have been thinking. I am actually reaching to a point with Dot Wave is that I need to really min-max my gear and then really start fishing for those like really low chances, like a very specific boss, specific mob type, specific layout, so on and so forth. I think I can get to 111 or so. I just don't know if I want to do that again with a season. I've been doing it for seasons over season at this point. So I might just move on to some other builds and try to provide more different build content videos for you as well. But either way, if you like the content, consider liking and subscribing. We are super close to 4,000 subscribers. Again, I'm a small channel, relatively new creator. So really appreciate your support along the way. Lord Sora here. I will see you guys in the next video. Cheers.